What's going on, everybody? Good evening. Um, I'm not sure if you guys can see me, but just say, let me know if you can hear me in the chat section, Kobe. Just waiting for Audrey to join me. And yes, I'm pumped. We're going to have a good session today. As usual, we're going to dive into Facebook ads. So I'm excited about that. And I'm just waiting for Audrey to join the session. And we'll get going. Let me give her a call. Kobe, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me? Boom, there goes Audrey.
What's going on?
Not much, not much. Just want to make sure everyone can hear me. Okay, cool. They can hear me. Perfect.
All right, cool. Oh, I need some lighting. Hey, Morgan, can you grab mommy's ring light?
Yeah, get the ring light, get the red cup.
Oh yeah. I don't know what I'm just joking. Morgan, can you grab mommy's ring light, please?
Fine, that's what's up. How you been?
Oh man, I'm doing okay. I was having a hard time getting in here, but looks like I'm good.
Yeah, you're here to give us all that game.
Yeah. Yeah, give me just a second. I'm gonna get the ring light going so we can get the show popping.
Yeah, if you guys are ready, can you put a "I'm ready" in the comment section? I'm ready. Just one second. Yellow. Yeah, let him up, please. Yeah, are you guys ready? Ready for all the games? So today we're going to talk about Facebook ads. Audrey has been part of the program from the beginning. She was here to talk about introduction to drop shipping, and she showed some inspiring um, dashboard um, screenshots that basically made a lot of us realize this is real. And anytime we can get Audrey here, we're very honored because she's busy building her own empire, and she's not one of these people out here that claim that they're gurus. She's actually teaching people from the heart, and so I'm very grateful that she's not one of the narcissistic types that think that, oh, I know the information I'm not going to share with people. So come in. I think ultimately, come in, man. So, anyways, so I think ultimately what's going to happen is we're going to, and there goes CJ. We're going to have a conversation about what's up, CJ.
What's
We're going to
happening?
have a conversation about Facebook ads and how um, just the fundamentals of Facebook ads. This is going to be a 2-week training, and I think that this is a better forum than Zoom because for some reason I don't like Zoom. Like I think it's just basic. Like this is a bit better, and it's been on YouTube with limited access for a while, and for marketing purposes, this is good too. So we want to talk about Facebook ads, and we want to talk about just the fundamentals why Facebook ads are essential to the big picture, which is having a successful, profitable online business. And I think Audrey um, and CJ, with CJ's guidance as well, and I can dive in a little deeper into what the fundamentals are. What is a pixel? How do you set up your business manager? Just the basics of Facebook ads, the things that are like essential so that you don't get your account shut down, right? Or you don't just throw money down the dump and not have the right conversions from your Facebook campaign.
What about touching on like the lookalike audiences and extracting the data off the videos? You want to touch on all that stuff too, or?
Yeah, we can get into it. We can get into it, but basically, before the call, I called Audrey and I said, let's try to make today about the fundamentals, right?
Gotcha.
So, I think that for a 2-week thing, the second session could be a bit more technical.
Gotcha. Yeah,
But
for sure.
if we have the time and you guys want to touch on that, absolutely. But I just wanted to be presented for someone who maybe understands, the power of Facebook ads, but they've never really executed a campaign, right? This is where majority of the people listening will be. Right now in the program where we are is we're ready to turn our stores on live. Everyone needs to send me the domain they want to use. It's that simple. Once you send me the domain, if you need help with the logo, we can assist with that. And we want to turn these stores on live, hopefully by Friday, because we're really in the fourth quarter. I was busy with a conference, but this has 100% of my dedication and attention right now. So let's tap
Salute on that conference again, though. 3 days. I know that was a heavy conference right there, man. That was a good look right there.
Yeah,
for sure.
I'm just recovering from that.
Yeah, I bet. For sure.
So let's get into it. Audrey, the floor is yours. Let's talk about Facebook ads. Give us the whole rundown. Ooh, excuse me.
Do you hear feedback?
No, I don't.
Okay. I'm gonna throw my AirPod on just in case, because sometimes I don't know. Hold on. Give me just a second. All right, you guys still there? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you guys hear? Can you put in the comment section if you can hear?
Okay, cool. Well, yeah, I mean, I guess if just let me know if folks can't hear. All right, so I guess I put together like a little brief outline just so that I can ensure that I covered, for the most part, all the bases, and it's not 100% comprehensive because as when it comes to Facebook, there's so many moving parts, right? But I think in terms of just kind of like what you need to get started, just to kind of get things off the ground, these are kind of some of the things that I'm going to talk about. And I think, just to kind of preface the conversation, it makes sense to talk about a lot of the challenges, and I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer, but I just think that it's imperative that people recognize and understand that it's not always sunshine and rainbows, right? Because sometimes in order to even get to that pot of gold, like you have to go through some tumultuous periods to get there. And so let me see if I can share my screen. I'm not really familiar with this platform, so give me a second just to
Yeah, all you need to do is just on the bottom it says share screen.
Okay. Oh, there we go. All right, it was hidden. Okay, share screen. All right, cool. Entire screen, application window. All right, let's see if this works.
All right, cool.
All right, so let me know if you guys can see.
You can see it.
Okay, cool. All right, so I'm gonna just take you behind the scenes because I'm 100% transparent. There's a lot of people out here. They just want to post screenshots of Shopify, but they don't want to go into the details. The behind the scenes, right? Because even those numbers on Shopify can be fabricated to a large extent, but you can't fabricate or fake this stuff with Facebook. So I just want to give you a little bit of information just about the journey. So I've been running ads on Facebook probably circa 2015, 2016. Obviously, things were a lot looser, back at that time. And so things, progressively have just tightened up. And if you're running any ads today, you'll notice that the algorithm and the AI and all of that is just super, super stringent. I'm actually just on the back end of having my business manager disabled. So I just was dealing with that for the last few days. I've been going through, I kind of have started keeping a mental note. I've been dealing with shutdowns of my business manager and ad account for since January, every 2 months. Okay, so every 2 months, I can pretty much foretell and anticipate that something's going to happen. Okay, whether it's my ad account, whether it's a business manager. And so a lot of people would say, well, why in the world are you even putting up with all of this? Like, the inconsistency, in the business, the volatility, like why in the world, would you put up with this? So let me just go over and show you one thing really quick so you can see why I put up with it. Okay. And I probably need to step over. Let me go over here. Now my mouse is acting crazy.
All good.
Oh no, it's not letting me click on anything. Is it usually like a delay with the StreamYard?
I see a mouse moving.
But it won't let me click on anything.
It's not clicking. You might want to.
Let me stop sharing for a second and see. Let me see if that helps. Okay, so that seemed to help. I don't know, it just seems to move kind of slow. All right, so let me see if I can share one more time and let's see if it'll show me. All right, you still there?
Yeah, we're still here.
There we go.
Okay, all right, cool. So the reason why I put up with Facebook, I'm gonna show you on one particular ad account that I use for my store, at least for the store that hit $1 million in 5 months. Let's pull it up. So if you look at this account, you'll see that I spent $286,000 since the beginning of the year, right? January 1st to date. And this particular ad account spent almost $300,000. Now I have another ad account. I can't seem to find it. It's somewhere in here that I spent probably another, $20,000-$30,000 on. But for the type of reach that I'm able to garner, which is here, about 5.7 million people. And when I consider my sales, okay, so I'm pretty much, for every $1 that I'm spending, I'm bringing back $3 or $4, okay? I can't do those numbers, in the stock market, right? I mean, maybe I could if I was, trained and I had people, doing this all day, watching the numbers, the stocks and all of that. But the return that I get from Facebook for something that's, pretty easy and simple to launch, it's impeccable, right? So for me, I always just, I weigh the risk and the value. So there's going to be risk, no matter what type of platform you're using. Google has shutdowns and things like that. I definitely think with Facebook, it's a lot more volatile, but the return, is there. Okay. To be able to reach $5.7 million, for less than $500 million that's great. So this is why I spend my time on Facebook. But this also establishes credibility for me because, again, I've made an investment. Okay, I've made an investment in my business. I've made an investment in my education, and this has allowed me to be able to spend this type of money. Okay, so that's the most important part, that I want to mention. All right, so we're gonna go and talk about real quick why you need to have a business manager, because when I first got started on Facebook, I didn't have a business manager. Like, you could run all of your ads through your personal account. And so for people that, have kind of been around for a while, sometimes they, still think that they can operate their business by leveraging their personal account. But the reality is doing that is extremely, extremely risky. Facebook has created this business manager, and I like to call it like a credit report, if you will, right? So, like on your credit report, you have details about, where you live, your address, previous addresses, you have your accounts, whether it's in good standing or bad standing, your credit score. Like there's all of this information about you and your identity linked inside of this credit report, right? And so I like to make the comparison that the business manager that Facebook has created is the equivalent to your credit report, right? Because now inside of the business manager, you have, your identity, right? And let me just show you, when I talk about identity, I'm going to show you exactly what I'm referring to. So business settings is where I'm going to go, and you guys probably won't remember any of this stuff, but I think you'll have a recording, so you can always go back to it. Whenever you establish your business manager, okay, the very first thing that you want to do is you want to come over here to business info and establish your identity, okay? And the way that you establish your identity is by providing providing all the details pertaining to your business. Okay, so like your legal business name. If you don't have a legal business name, you can use, a name that you plan on using at some point. You need to have an address, preferably a business address, because you don't want your personal address circulating right around the web. You need to have a website. You guys have purchased access to, to a drop shipping store. So you have a website domain. You want to have a business phone number, right? And all of these details is what establishes your identity with Facebook. Because as you guys know, you don't have to, but pay attention to the news to know like all of the hot water that Facebook has been in over the last couple of years, right? And so in conjunction with that, they rolled this business verification out as a way to eliminate or to avoid a lot of fraud and spam that happens on their platform. So if you are a legitimate marketer, which all of you guys should be, right? Because you guys are making an investment in your business. You want to have a legitimate business. You're not here just to flip money. Then this is the step or the standard that you really want to work toward. Now, you'll see here that my business is not verified. I provided all of my information, and you'll notice that it says unverified. And the reason is because it failed the verification test when they called. Okay, so I have a VoIP number. Okay, so when they called, their system was able to detect that. So I got to switch out, my number so that they can actually get a live person. So once I get that done, instead of this red mark, it'll be green. But this is the first part. After you establish and create your business manager, this is the very first thing that you want to do. Because if you don't have this information inside of Facebook's business manager, this is one of the number one reasons why business managers are shut down, why ad accounts are shut down. So this is just an extra or an added insurance policy just to ensure that you're compliant with Facebook, okay? That they have your identity correct. All right, so far so good. You guys are still with me?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So this stuff sometimes can be like kind of boring. So I'm always just like, let me make sure nobody's falling asleep.
Well,
but definitely.
They need to stay focused because this is a very vital part of the whole program. Learning Facebook ads. Like you run your business solely on Facebook ads, correct? But for now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, so it's definitely a proven sales channel. And I just got a notification on one of my stories that I got approved for Facebook Shop. I saw Tim, you posted something about that as well. I think they're now opening up the channel, Facebook platform for people to be able to even sell directly from the Facebook channel itself. From the Facebook itself.
Never leave the platform.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, so for me, this is, again, like I said, it's just a way for you to be able to establish your business and your identity. Okay, that's part of your credit report, right? That's part of the info that you need to have here on your business settings or inside of your business manager. Okay, so now, you got your business manager set up, you put in your business details, you hit the verification button. That takes a couple of days, but in the meantime, you can still get everything else, get your assets set up, right? So now we're talking about like on a credit report, you know, if you have credit cards and all of that, like all of those accounts are listed out, right? So now we're going to start talking about those types of assets when it comes to your business manager. So the first thing that you want to do after establishing your identity is you want to go and create a Facebook page. Okay, this is at the end of the day one of the pieces of the puzzle that you have to have in place before you can even advertise on Facebook's platform. Okay, now there's no limit to how many pages you can create. You know, literally I have, I mean, hundreds of pages inside of many niches, but you have to have a page in order to market your product or service. So that's the very first thing that you need to do.
So you have a Facebook page. There's no running around. There's no avoiding that.
No getting around it. You have to have a Facebook page.
Now, do you have to have content on the Facebook page?
No, so it's interesting because, you know, there's a a six in one hand, half a dozen in the next. Some people say, you know, they don't like to market or advertise to an empty page. They want to go and maybe they run a like campaign just to get people to like the page. Maybe they go and find content, you know, and curate it and post it to their page just so that it's not, you know, blank or empty. Right. But for me, to be completely transparent, I don't do that. Okay. So if I create a page, I'm going to run ads to it out the gate. And it's usually, you know, and excuse my language, but it's butt naked. Right. And the reason for that is because as I'm running ads, two things are happening. One, nobody's really looking at the page because when they get served an ad, they see an ad and then they're taken to an external website, right? So when someone clicks on a link inside of my ad, it's taking them to my website. It's not bringing them back to my Facebook page, right? So the likelihood that somebody clicks my ad and then goes and surfs on my page, you know, is minimal in comparison to the likelihood of them leaving the ad and going to the store or wherever the link is that I'm sending them. The second thing is by running traffic to this page, the store is, or the page is building up traffic, is building up followers, is building up likes and things like that. Once I see that is happening, then yes, I have a content strategy that does, put content on my Facebook or Instagram pages. But out the gate, I'm not doing it, right? Because I want to do the least amount. I want to make the least amount of investment up front and, you know, see if it works, right? Because just psychologically, I think and it's just human nature, we create all these obstacles. You know, we're like, everything has to be so perfect. The website has to be perfect. The ad has to be perfect. The page has to be perfect. All of these things. And when we don't sense that it's perfect, it creates friction, right? And then naturally, when we don't know the A, B, and C of something, then we start to step back and we make excuses and we come up with all kinds of stuff mentally, right? So I do the least amount because at the end of the day, what really matters is sales. So once I validate my idea, when someone makes a vote with their money, then I go in and I make the investment back into the infrastructure. Okay, so that's the way I roll. That's how I do it. But it really just boils down to, to your preference. But I will say, since everybody here is building a legitimate brand, like I hope that the goal is, to build a long-term business here. This isn't like, I'm just trying to flip $100 real quick. Like I hope that everyone's goal is to really build an asset, that they intend to grow. And if that is your goal, then you do want to make the investment into building up the page with content. Okay. And like I said, that normally will happen naturally as you continue to sell and promote and build your business.
And I can add this. I know of there are social media management companies that you can pay as little as $100 a month to manage your page, and they'll consistently put content on there. So that's always an option as well, if you want to actually truly automate it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like, and that's the cool thing for one of my businesses. That's exactly what I use. I outsource, I pay a little more than $100 a month. But I have them doing a few other things, but literally they just take content, they curate it
Right.
and post it to the page. So the cool thing is you don't even have to create content. I mean, real talk, if you wanted to, really dumb it down, you could go out onto Pinterest, you could go onto Instagram, you could go out on those sites and find content that's relative to your niche and literally queue it up and post it, right? So this isn't, where you have to reinvent the wheel. Just be a curator, go and find that meme or, that blog or that website link or whatever, those images that are going to be, understood and appreciated by your niche, and then roll with that. So that's literally all I do. Okay.
Right.
But at the foundation, fundamentally, you have to have a Facebook page. So once you create your Facebook page, there's a few things that you need to keep in mind that you should have. So you need a profile image, right? So if I'm selling a, arthritis, glove, right? Maybe I want to show a picture of maybe an older person, that has arthritis. Maybe, there's some some attention to the hand or to the joints, or if I'm selling a back brace, right? Maybe I want to make my profile picture a person, bending over, this that has back pain, right? You want to make sure that there's a lot of congruency. So if you are selling a back brace, maybe having 20-year-old girls jumping up and down, in the ocean, that's not congruent. So maybe that's not the way you want to go. So you want to make sure that your profile picture is going to match your niche, match your audience. Okay. So you need to make sure you have that at the very least. You also have the ability to customize your Facebook page URL. Okay. So you can go in. So let's say, my business is, back pain gone away. Okay. So maybe that's my business. I can go in and I can, if that domain is available, if that extension is available, I can customize my business page to have that. Okay. So just a couple of things to keep in mind. But creating a Facebook page literally can be done in a matter of seconds. Okay.
Right.
And I'm gonna show you. So we just hit create page. You have several categories, to choose from. Most of us are going to fall into this brand or product because we're selling something, right? You can just give your page a name. You choose you niche down again to choose this category, right? Based on the product that you're selling. So, let's just go with, kitchen. I'm selling, some sort of kitchen or some maybe kitchen gadgets or whatever. And so literally, as you can see with a page name and selecting your category, I can have a page up in seconds. Okay, create it. Now there's still, like I said, a little bit of work that you need to do, but all of this can be done within the span of, a few moments. Okay. So not anything, real difficult or, beyond the scope of what you'll be able to do. Okay. So you guys still with me? Y'all understand the importance of having a Facebook page?
Yes.
All right, cool. So next, you got to have a Facebook page, right? So if you got to have a Facebook page, you have to have an ad account. Facebook, the way that you are able to run ads, create ads, set up ads, deploy ads, whatever. The way that you do this is by utilizing an ad account. Okay. So very similar to what, and look, you'll see, I have a bunch of disabled ad accounts. It's the nature of business with Facebook. But the cool thing is I have the ability to create 2,500 ad accounts. Okay. Now, here's one thing to note. When you get started, because most of you guys are going to be creating ad accounts on Fresh Business Managers. Okay. I'm going to assume that's kind of the standard for most of you guys here.
Right.
Because you're new, you have to earn your spending ability with Facebook. Okay. So like back in the day, you could create an account and they would give you, like $750 to kind of, test with up front before you were charged. Okay. They would kind of just open up the sky and give you everything. But now, because, it's so easy to set up, there's a lot of spammers, and all kinds of stuff. They make you earn the right to be on their platform, right? Because they want to make sure that you're a legitimate business and that you have the ability to fulfill on the ads that you're running. So what that means for you is I have the ability to create 2,500 ad accounts. If you're starting with a brand new business manager, you're only going to have the ability to create one ad account. Okay. And the way that you're able to create more is you have to establish a good record, a good history with Facebook. So the way that you establish that is by paying your bill, okay, paying your Facebook ad bill and making sure that your ads are compliant, okay? And when we're talking about compliancy, we'll talk about that on a whole nother session, but Facebook has advertising rules and responsibilities, okay? And so you just got to make sure that you're coloring inside the lines. If you're doing that, for the most part, you'll be okay. But that is how you garner more credit with Facebook. Have a good payment history. So when they bill your account, make sure that you're leveraging, a credit card or your account that has money in it, because if payments are declined, they're keeping track of all of that, right? Again, we're talking about, similar to a credit report. When you're late on your credit report, it shows up. You're 30 days late, you get dinged for it, right? You lose points. So it's the same way with Facebook, okay? Same identical way. But the cool thing about Facebook is once you establish a good payment record, a payment history with them, they will grant you the ability to have multiple ad accounts, okay? So let me just share with you what an ad account looks like. We won't go into, the setup and all of that stuff, but we'll talk about what's inside of an ad account. So just just follow me here. An ad account has three components, okay? It has a campaign. The campaign is where you establish the goal of your ad, okay? So there's a campaign for that. Then you have ad sets, okay? Now your ad sets is what is going to spell out your targeting. So like the person or identity of the audience that you want to tap into, their gender, their age, if they're in the US, if they're in United Kingdom, whatever. And then your ad is the actual physical representation of the product that you're selling. Okay. So if you're selling, again, a back brace, you're going to have an image likely, or you're going to have a video. It's going to be one or the other. And so all of those components together is what creates an ad. And in order for you to have an ad, you have to have an ad account. All right. So that is where you would go to create all of your assets as far as your campaign and all of that. All of that's done through your ad account. Okay. A couple of things to note about an ad account. When you're first starting out, you might get billed at like $10, $15 intervals, right? But as you continue to make those payments, so Facebook will hit you, every $10, all right, they're going to bill your card, they're going to bill your card. But then as you consistently make those $10 payments, then the threshold increases. So maybe the next tier is $25. So they give you a little bit, they'll give you $25 credit. You run that, you pay that, and then they'll give you a little bit more. And so they increase it. And I think the max is the threshold, I think, is $900. Now, on some of my accounts, I have a threshold up to $2,500 because I'm spending multiple thousands of dollars a day, right? So once you get to that level, you can hit Facebook up And generally they'll grant you the ability to have more spending power. Okay, which is really good when you're scaling a campaign. Okay, so that's the importance of having an ad account. So you got to have a Facebook page, you got to have an ad account. Okay, if you don't have those two things, you will not have the ability to run any ads on Facebook's platform. All right, y'all still with me? You still there? All right, cool. All right, so now we're going to talk about something that Ishmael mentioned earlier, which was the Facebook Pixel. Okay, I think it was Ishmael that mentioned it, but the Pixel is really important. Okay, and we'll talk about just what it is and its power and what it does and why it matters to you. So Facebook has basically a piece of code. Okay, that's essentially what this Pixel is. It's a piece of code that Facebook gives you. Okay, so you can go in here and you can create it. Excuse me. I'll show you how to create a Pixel. And so they give you this piece of code, and then you subsequently put it on your Shopify store. Okay. And so you place this code on your Shopify store, and now it tracks all of the activity that happens on your Shopify store. Okay. So when we talk about activity, what are we talking about? So activity can be, anything from, how many people land on your homepage, whether they're searching your store, whether they are adding products to the cart, how long they're staying on your store, the frequency, like all of this information is captivated by this Pixel. Okay. So it's imperative that once you guys get your stores and you get it built and all of that stuff, that's one of the first things that you do, that you go to your business manager and you come over here to Pixels, right? And you click add and you create a Pixel, okay? And I'll show you just how easy it is to do. So once you click add, you can put your store name as your Pixel name, right? You click continue, and then it's going to give you a block of information. Oh, not quite. All right, set up Pixel now. All right, so now it's going to give you a block of information when you select manually add code to the website. Okay, this is the block of information here. Okay, and what you're looking for is not all of this Pixel code here, but what you're looking for is a string of numbers, and you can't see it probably, but there's a string of numbers starting here with this 6, 8, ending in 1, 3. Okay, so you want to capture that number, and that is your Pixel ID, and that is the information that you're going to take over to Shopify inside of the settings, and that's going to be the identity. That's going to be the way that Facebook is able to communicate with your website and track all of the activity that's happening. Okay, so a lot of people will say that the Pixel is really an intricate part of people's overall success when it comes to advertising on their platform, specifically with Shopify. And I don't know. I mean, I kind of feel the same way. What do you guys think?
Tim, you want to take a stab at that? How important is the Pixel?
I think it's essential, mandatory.
Yeah.
I think it's actually very critical. Last week we had this gentleman that talked about Google ads, and he mentioned something that was, I thought was a good best practice. He said, when you warm up your Pixels, it's a good practice to also warm them up on Google ads. The reason is people who go on Google ads, they're actually searching for a specific product, right? So they're looking for that item, unlike Facebook that studies your behavior and serves you what they think you'll like, right? So when you have that audience that is looking for that type of product and you build your Pixel around that and now take it to Facebook or Shopify, you have a better, you're able to train the algorithm on Facebook's network to get you a better lookalike audience. So what are some of the steps to have a good pixel? How do you ensure your pixel picks up good data in you guys' experience?
Well, I guess I'll start. You can always interject and cut me off as you need to, but I
mentally and all that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is intricate because it's really the foundation to being able to leverage the power of audiences, like custom audiences and lookalike audiences. If you don't have the pixel, you don't really have the bandwidth or the ability to create those things, which basically is your ability to create your own marketing or advertising audience, right? So I definitely think it's important, but I think what really matters in this situation, particularly with the pixel, is you have to have traffic on that site. So it's of no value or consequence to have the pixel and it just lies dormant, right? Like the two have to go hand in hand. So you have the pixel, but the pixel is only as good as the data in which it collects. And so you have to be, and where you get that traffic from, it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be Facebook, right? You can get that traffic from anywhere. But the idea is that if you have that pixel installed, just kind of like what you were saying, you now have the power to create custom audiences for retargeting, right? So no matter where your traffic comes from, if you have that Facebook pixel, you can retarget that audience and that traffic from Facebook. Same way with Google. If you have Google installed on your Shopify store, no matter where your traffic comes from, you can always retarget those customers simply through Google's platform. So I think it's imperative, it's critical, and the more data that you feed this pixel, the smarter and more intuitive the algorithm becomes, right? So once that algorithm gets tuned and dialed in with that pixel data, and they just know, like, okay, based on all of this data from your pixel, we know that your audience are 35 to 54-year-old women that have an interest in baseball, and they're married and they're college educated and they have 2 kids, and they start to understand some of the demographics. Then, man, I'm telling you, like, it doesn't matter what you launch, you can, for the most part, have success.
Yeah, once we get that pixel right, it's like printing money, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I will say,
some of the things that people do wrong when they're setting up when they're basically warming up the pixel, for lack of better words.
So one of the things that I'm really big on is segregating my my niches. So case in point, a lot of people will set up a drop shipping store, right? And they kind of have like the Amazon effect. So they're not doing one product drop shipping stores. They're like selling, kitchen stuff. They're selling grilling stuff. They're selling beauty and health and apparel, and it's everything, right? And so what I find is they're using one pixel, but they're targeting so many different audiences and niches of people, right? So now, and this is just my opinion, it's not a strategy that I employ, and I'm going to explain why. But you have this pixel now collecting all kinds of data from different niches, right? And it's clouding and it's muddying the waters.
Right.
So now when you're trying to go and create custom audiences off of this pixel, the pixel doesn't really know, who you're really trying to target, because you have such a vast and diverse mix of people, right? And so where is the consistency? You see what I'm saying? So I find that people don't know about audience segmentation, and how it's really important just for the overall health of your pixel to have one pixel assigned to one, to one niche.
Makes sense. So let's take a few questions. Someone said, would you suggest using business email addresses when setting up Facebook ad accounts and identity?
I'm sorry, my screen kind of went, or my
No,
AirPod kind of went out. Say it one more time.
Somebody at the Truth aka Mac asked, would you suggest using business email addresses when setting up Facebook ad accounts and identity?
Oh, I see. Yeah, I would. I mean, but if you don't have that, go with what you have. A Gmail account is fine.
Right.
But a preferred method definitely would be to purchase a domain, and get your email set up under that domain.
Yeah.
But again, if that's not what you have, don't allow that to be a deterrent for you. Use a Gmail and keep it pushing.
Right. So Kobe's saying, so I know this may be off topic, but just to research on what you said earlier, you said not to create a business manager account through our personal Facebook account. So we have to create, let me see, a new Facebook account, because I tried to create a business manager account and it required a personal Facebook account to be linked to it. And I created a new Facebook account and I used my name on it. It didn't allow me, so it didn't comply with their policies. So I don't get that question, Kobe, but I don't know, maybe you guys understand it.
Yeah, I don't think I quite understand, but okay, so let's just back up and address a couple of things.
Okay.
If you want to have a business manager, you have to have a personal Facebook profile, okay? So you can't say, well, I don't use Facebook, I don't need Facebook, so I don't want to have a personal profile, but I want to advertise on their platform. They don't allow for you to do that. You have to have personal identity in some way, right, in order to establish a business manager. Now, what I was saying earlier about the personal page is you don't want to advertise your business through your personal ad account. That's very different. Each time that you establish a personal profile, you are given a personal ad account. But what I'm saying is you don't want to run your business through your personal ad account. You want to set up the business manager. Now, the part that he was saying about not complying, I don't know what that is. A lot of times, like I said, it could really just be Facebook's algorithm, really being tight. Because sometimes if you set up a personal profile, so let's just say today I set up a personal profile, and then in the same day I went to set up a business manager, Facebook might consider that a red flag. So the way that you circumvent that is set up an account, allow it to, allow some time to pass, utilize it to, share some content, make some posts, go follow some people, add some friends, right? Do things organically that you normally would with your Facebook page, and then go and request access to or set up a business manager. Does that make sense? Because again, it all boils down to what looks less spammy. And so if you're setting up a personal profile and then that same day you're setting up a business manager and you're trying to launch a whole bunch of ads, like it just kind of throws, red flags a little bit to Facebook. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So I don't know if that answers the question. I'm not quite sure that I understood the question in its entirety. But if you are unable to set up a business manager because you had a new account, I would tell you to operate in a way that looks organic and natural, and then make efforts to create your business manager. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, no problem. So
I can still hear though.
Yeah, it's okay. Let me put TJ on. TJ.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, let me put you on the spotlight for a second.
Yeah.
So talk about the pixels, TJ. Like some of the pixels that you build. What are some of the strategies you've used to warm up your pixels?
Well, I kind of like to run an engagement ad towards the conversion ad. And, we were talking about the pixel and we were talking about, we're going to gather the data, but I don't think we touched on exactly. I'm probably jumping ahead a little bit, but, the data is going to be utilized to run campaigns for such as add to cart, purchase, view content, basically any action that a customer takes on your website. So for me, usually when I'm trying to find spot find the audiences. I like to run the engagement ads. I know a lot of people say run the conversion ads right out the gate, but I usually run small little engagement. I'm probably jumping ahead a little bit, but just post engagement, because I always base my stuff off the trust factor to a degree. That people don't jump on something that they're the first ones to get on. They jump on when they see 100 other people have already jumped on it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So I like to run conversion and engagement at the same time sometimes, especially if the ad is really popping. You see what I'm saying? So you're going to, especially if you have like a chat bot or something like that too, you're going to get way faster, cheaper conversions. You know what I mean? And I don't know, Audrey, do you mess with any of the message campaigns at all?
Oh yeah. I used to be heavy into the message campaigns, but after Facebook got real finicky and sensitive about chatbots and the frequency that you can reach out, to people that you have on that chatbot list and everything. So I don't really do, I leverage it a little bit when I'm doing giveaway campaigns, but just for my everyday run of the mill campaigns, no, I don't use it as much.
So messages are they tend to be more expensive, right?
Messenger lately, so it's kind of interesting. I don't know. Right now, Facebook is kind of funny. Correct me if I'm wrong, Audrey, but like with all the campaign and stuff going on, the election stuff, it seems like ads will take forever right now to get up and running. Might get some kickback that got running on Instagram. It's kind of funny with the election stuff going on right now.
Yeah, I was gonna show you. I wanted to show you guys this. I'm so glad you mentioned that, because that's a great segue into this. So if you guys don't know, Facebook has, let me back up because I think it's important to mention this. If you want to run any political ads, you have to, this is another reason why you need to have your business verified. Because if you are running a political ad, I don't know if you can see in one of my ad accounts here, I have an ad account called Trumpster. Okay. And this is a disabled ad account. Okay. It's disabled. Now, I will say that I went through the process. I went through the process of account verification. And what they do is they send you something in the mail. It has a code. You have to go to a particular website, put the code in. Like, you have to give them your driver's license, like all kinds of stuff, right? In order to be able to run political ads. Once you provide them with all of that and they green light you, then you can set up your ads and you can run, political stuff, right? So I say all that to say, if you're doing any type of political ads, that has to be done, or immediately your business manager will be shut down. And that's a clear policy violation. So that's not like how they inadvertently, the algorithm and AI is just so tight and they're accidentally doing stuff. Like, that would be 100% intentional, and you would likely not be able to get any of those assets back. Okay. So I just want to mention that. But to the point that you were making, the reason why there's all of this stuff happening, like ordinarily in this quarter, things are more expensive because everybody is trying to advertise during Q4. Everyone just wants eyeballs on, their products and services, right? Well, coupled with that, this is an election year. So if you look here over the last 7 days, right? So this tells you spending tracker for the presidential race from October the 13th to the 19th. So that's what, 6 days. Look at how much money Joe Biden has spent. $7.6 million, okay, in the span of a week, okay? So when we're talking about inventory, because that's what this platform is all based on, right? So when there's more demand for inventory, what happens? The price goes up, right? So CPMs are higher, cost per click tends to be higher, because listen, they are dumping money into Facebook, like stupid money that you and I will never ever be able to compete with. Okay, Trump has spent $4.13 million in the last 6 days. Morgan, you got to turn that off, huh? In the last 6 days. So this is just 6 days. Like, just think what happens in a 30-day period, right? Just how much money is spent. So if you're just trying to launch ads and spend $5, a day to reach your audience, you gonna be bid, you gonna be outbid, right? You're gonna be outbid. Because look at all the money that they're spending. You don't have the ability to compete with that. So that's another reason why you have to, when it comes to interruption marketing, it works very well. Can you please fix that? It works very well, but you also have to understand the climate, because it's very different than search. Someone is actively looking for something in search. So they go to Google and they type something in and they're generally ready to buy. Whereas with interruption marketing, like, no, people aren't necessarily coming on Facebook to buy, arthritis, band, right? And so they might have to see your offer a couple of times, before they pull the trigger. But that's why it's important, that you remain consistent in the process. Because if you launch a $5 ad and you don't get any sales, and you say, "See, this don't work. It's a scam. That's why I'm giving up." Like, you have no way to compete when they're dropping $7 million in a span of 6 days.
That's valid. Yeah, that's
no way to compete.
So let's
so yeah, but see, go ahead.
No, but go ahead. No, I'm sorry. You go ahead. I apologize.
No, I was just gonna say, but like, what TJ was saying is 100% correct. Like, everything right now is backed up because Facebook doesn't have enough resources right now. If you consider, like, this is it's just a trifecta. So you got Q4, it's an election year, and we're still in the midst of a whole global pandemic.
Right.
Like, everything that could possibly go wrong has gone wrong, but people are still able to make money.
Well,
so it still works.
I think personally, we should have a very exciting Q4 this year. With all those factors, I think that you can position yourself to take advantage of all that. Somebody said, "How specific do you get with niche product ads? Do you narrow down to city, state, hobbies, and interests?"
No, I don't. In fact, so ironically, when I first got onto Facebook's platform back in the day, it was all about niche targeting. Like, if you look at some of the older courses that might be in circulation, that's all they talked about, getting very specific and dialing in your audience,
right.
And getting those micro audiences, 100,000, 200,000. Now I go big or go home. Right. And so generally for me, what I recognize, the more constraints that you put on Facebook's pixel, the cost to reach and dial into those people is far more expensive. Right. So what I also recognize is that Facebook has, because it collects data, right? It has over 1 billion monthly active users on its platform. So it has tons and tons and tons of data. So what I do is I lean into that, right? I'll allow Facebook's algorithm and the pixel to really do the heavy lifting for me. So I generally go broad, I go as big as I can, and I let the pixel and its algorithm, pinpoint and isolate those people inside of those huge buckets of audiences.
Yeah, that's a better strategy for sure.
Yeah.
What about you, Tim?
I think it comes down to I'll go broad for sure. Yeah, because like you said, it costs more. But I think with the question he asked too, though, if the data shows that you got a bunch of people or something like that, I think it's good to dial in on that data, though. And run some campaigns with the data once it's proven to show. You got 18 to 35 in Dallas, Texas, more than anything, or Chicago. Like for me, when I do like the 420 stuff, I'm going. I'd want to go to the legal states. Those are the ones I know that already are. So the data's going to show me that anyway, though.
Right.
Yeah, and I agree with that. Because it really just depends on the product that you're selling, and what happens once you run those test ads. So out the gate, I keep everything really broad. But then once I'm onto like that second phase in the process, where I'm optimizing, and definitely in the scale phase, I do dial in, a bit more. But out the gate, I'm definitely like going as broad as I can to try to find, that audience that I want to dial into.
So let's talk about for the rest of the session. Can we? Excuse me. We're on the line, man. So let's talk about the process of testing ads. Can we dial into that? So I built the site. I want it, Facebook doesn't give me too much of a limit, and I want to test the ads before I scale. How do you initiate that? Like what kind of steps do you go through to test an ad to see if you have a winning product?
So it's funny. Because and I guess just let me say this. A lot of people, they get their store up, they get their product, and then they jump straight into the ads, right? And I always say the ad is only going to magnify what is already there, right? So before I even get into the ad part, like I want to make sure that I have a product that people actually want, right? I also want to make sure that I've created an irresistible offer. I want to make sure that when I present my product or my offer that, like people are actually going to be intrigued or interested in it. So I spend a little bit more time on the front end, creating that marketing angle, really understanding what the benefits are, not just the features, but the reason why people would buy this product. And I build a, almost like a mood board, not a mood board, but it's like a brand identity board. That's essentially what I do, for my niche. And then I move over to audience insights. Okay. And that allows me to do a little bit of research based on all of that information that I have. It allows me to do research for my audience and really begin to understand who they are, and the psychographics and things like that, not just the demographic. And then once I have a pretty good understanding and a clear understanding of, who that person is, or, that group of people, then I take that data and I dump it over into an ad. Now, one thing that I will say is I don't get too deep. I don't overthink when it comes to interest targeting. If I'm selling a beauty product, right? Let's say I'm selling, teeth whitening, or I'm selling some mascara, whatever. Like I'm literally going to use those types of keywords, for my interest targeting. Like I'm not trying to, be out here, thinking that I have to get real scientific and I need to have some letters and stuff behind my name. Literally I will type in mascara. If I'm selling mascara, that's going to be one of my interests, mascara. I'm also going to think, okay, well, where can I buy a mascara? Oh, Sephora, MAC. You don't have to get real deep. When you're launching and testing the ads. I think the most important part is that you give Facebook enough budget and enough space so that they can go and find, the people that you're looking for. So what I mean by that is not just launching one ad set with one ad and expecting it to go out and do all the heavy lifting. I like to give Facebook, when I'm doing my test ads, I like to do anywhere from 5 to 10 ad sets, a whole variety of interests, with a minimum of 2 ads inside each ad set. So that way, if I'm spending, $50, $60, a day testing, I've tested a wide range of keywords. So if I can't get any traction in all of these keywords, then maybe it's the product doesn't really match the audience.
Audrey, can I ask you one question? So for you to rule out an ad completely, rule it out and say, hey, it's not touching the right target audience, how many days would you give that?
I generally go with 2 days. I like to give myself, anywhere from like 36 to 48 hours. But there's indicators, I always say success leaves clues. And so that's the most important part, of the process, like being able to read and interpret the data and know what the story that the data is telling, because the data is going to tell you, like, ultimately, yeah, everybody wants sales, right? That's always like at the end, what we're always looking for.
Right.
But there's indicators in other metrics, that kind of tell you whether or not this is a issue with your, messaging with the product. Are they just not interested? Are they not sure because you haven't identified the value? Is it an issue with the website? Like, all of these indicators are going to give you clues to where in the funnel your product, is falling apart. And so I like to allow at least 48 hours generally, before I make a decision.
And generally, how much do you generally test with for those 48 hours?
Usually out the gate, I'm trying to spend, $100 on a product per day. A lot of times it will just kind of depend on how much profit is associated with each product too. Because if you're selling a low ticket product, it's a lot easier to convert a lower cost product than it is to convert, a more expensive. And sometimes, with more expensive products, it's a journey like customers have to go through. It's not necessarily, instinct for them to buy it immediately. Maybe they got to take 2, 3, 4 days to do it. So for me, a simple rule is I generally go with like $100 a day. But that's just me because that's what I can do. But I also look at the profit. And so if, I only got $10 profit, then at max, I'm only going to really be willing to spend, $25 or $30 before I'm like, okay, well, I'm already upside down. I don't want to, I don't want to mess with it. So it just kind of depends on, it's a couple of factors, but I still launch $5 a day ad sets. A lot of people are like, oh my God, you can't run, you can't get any data with $5 a day. Oh yeah, I can, because I'm not just running one ad set. So if I'm running, 5 or 10 ad sets, I'm spending like $50, and that's a very good budget, to start with. $5 a day still works.
And I think we should talk about something that might be in a lot of people's minds right now, which is the fact that the capital needed to fund these ads, right? So I think one of the things that is exciting about building a business on Shopify is they give you access to capital. Once you've been able to put in that initial capital and you build the momentum, and your store now has data and history of sales, Shopify has this thing called Shopify Capital. Do you want to talk a little bit about Shopify Capital, Audrey?
Yeah, give me just 1 second because I'm actually trying to pull something up so I can show you. Just give me 1 second.
Yeah, while she's doing that, CJ, talk about Shopify Capital.
Well, they'll take like 10%, 13%, and 15% out of your daily earnings until you pay back whatever you've borrowed. But they don't do no credit checks, nothing like that. All you got to do is already have the sales and the background in the store already, and I'll give it to you. You can build upon that for sure.
Yeah, it's very, very helpful. So if you have a store and you put this initial investment into ads and you start showing, you start making sales and you have revenue, Shopify has all that data and information, and you will literally unsolicited, you'll get an email from them saying, we have X amount of money available for you. And typically they'll have that money for you, within 48 hours or something like that?
Something like that. I've never seen it though. I've always seen it there, but I've never actually utilized it myself. I see it all the time.
So I think Audrey wants
I don't know. I'm trying to figure out where it is on here it is. Right here. Let me see if it'll load.
You want to
show? Okay, cool. So here we go.
Oh, damn.
All right.
Wow.
So this is the lowest offer, 87,000, right? Then they have an offer in the middle for 110,000.
Beat that.
Okay.
Man,
110,000, and then
110. Man, there's something wrong with you.
And then at the max, 135,000.
So
Man.
they have money available for you to do whatever you want to do with it. And
Yes.
what are the terms? Like they don't check your credit. It's based
So
on
no, they don't check your credit. The one thing that they will do is just kind of make sure, and so this is why it's important when you set your store up, that you set your store up the correct way, because they do want to make sure that you are who you say you are. So you have to be able to obviously validate your identity. But beyond that, that's really it, because what they're doing is they're basing their offer on historical data. So if you're running, if you're generating sales and you're making money on their platform, they have a internal formula that they use, and that's how they're able. And I think it ends up being like 10% of your sales or something like that. It's some weird factoring that they come up with. But the cool thing about it, which is what I like, is that you pay. So like, I don't know if you guys saw, it said the daily remittance is 17%, right? So that means if I make $100 a day, right, I have to pay 17% of that back to Shopify in order to start paying my loan down, right? Or pay my advance down. But let's say I'm not making any money, right? Let's say I have a bad day and I don't make any sales. Guess what? Shopify doesn't collect the 17%. Right. So unlike, yeah, so it's based on you making money. So if you make money, Facebook or Shopify is gonna make money. Okay. So that's how it works. So like, unlike some, like loans, some of them don't matter if you make money or not. Like, you still got to make that payment. Like, you got to figure it out. But with these Shopify advances,
you got to leverage that in with the higher interest rate. I think another thing to point out is there are a lot of people that are in this program that are thinking, how do I fund these ads? So we have different options. You can use a credit card, and one of the cool things about that is if you set that up long term, you can build up a lot of points, because ads are very, very essential to running an online business. Think about it. Right? Why do people have stores in the major downtowns of anywhere? Because of the traffic. So to get that online traffic, you have to pay for that. There's no avoiding it. Now you can get creative where, like in CJ's case, he doesn't utilize Facebook ads for some of his products, right? But he still has a pixel, right? So there's still a component of Facebook advertising when you really think about it. You can Google ads, but you still need the pixel. So a lot of these fundamentals apply across different platforms. But I want to wrap up a little bit shortly, because this is just kind of like an introductory session. Next week, we're going to dive in a little bit deeper into Facebook ads. There are a lot of people that were invited to this session as a complimentary session, and just to get you an idea of how we kind of share knowledge in this mastermind. No one is a guru here. It's we invite people that have real life expertise, like Audrey and TJ and others that have actually built Shopify stores. Right? She just showed you a screenshot where she can literally accept a $150,000 loan on her phone, right? And she didn't get there overnight, right? It's taken a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, a lot of investment in knowledge, money, and time. And to have the honor of having someone like this share an hour plus with us is very rare, right? So that's one of the reasons why I think it's important for you guys to really, if you're still sitting on the fence about it, because at some point I'm just going to not even discuss it again. Join the program, right? Join the program. This information we're sharing is really life-changing. For now, it might seem very difficult to grab, but the cool thing about it is you can always come back and use this as a reference, right? When you're really out there in the field. And we have a program where we're able to actually manage a Shopify store for you. We send you a list of concept stores to look at, mostly single item stores, because I'll tell you one thing I've observed: a confused mind is not a real buyer, right? Especially on Facebook, where people are just being reactive and impulsive. So a lot of this stuff is taking a lot of effort and time to kind of tweak And we have people in the program that are ready to turn their stores on right now. We are at a point where you just need to get a domain and let's get going. If you have any questions about joining the program, just hit me up. I'm not hard to find. You can send an email to hello@ecommercepartners.online. I'm on Instagram, Ishmaeli. But the bottom line is we're trying to find like-minded people that wants to build successful online businesses from scratch. It's not the same as trading crypto, right? You're not going to put $2,000 and get rich, right? Now, that's the goal. But the reality is we're not going to get to Vegas with a quarter tank of gas from LA.
Right.
We need to have enough idea of what the journey is going to entail. And to have a successful online business, I really believe that you can run a profitable online business if you budget about $10,000 for the first 3 months. Let's be realistic, right? It takes about $8,000 to $10,000. Would you guys agree with that number as the real realistic entry point?
I say it's a little high for me, but I mean, I can see it being realistic though, you know?
I mean, if you think the first 90 days from setting up a Shopify store, right? You've done all the back-end research, especially if it's been done for you. When do you think you actually start getting to a point where your store is saying making realistically $3,000 and up? If you apply all the principles, like Audrey is phenomenal. She can tell you this. She told us the story about how she had. Sometimes the pressure would do that to you, where you went from $1,000 to $200,000 in sales the next week, $50,000 in profit. Like, let's wrap it up with this because this story I have to hear it over and over again. So, what kind of knowledge did you have about Facebook ads at that point? How did you make that happen?
I mean, I definitely didn't have the knowledge of Facebook ads that I have now. And at that point in time, it wasn't like right now, this program that you guys are part of or have the privilege of being part of, like stuff like this didn't exist.
Right.
So it was truly like, you had to go in, spend money, break some stuff, in order to really make it work. But that's what entrepreneurship is about. And if I have to speak about, what was it that really got me there? I mean, yes, Facebook was the catalyst, but it was tenacity, it was hustle, it was grit, right? It was, my back being against the wall. I had run out of options. And a lot of you guys might be in that situation where you tried everything. You tried affiliate marketing, real estate. Maybe you tried Shopify multiple times on your own before and you haven't done it successfully. And now you're at a place and space where it's like, I got to prove this to myself. Maybe my husband or my wife is like, okay, you done spent up all the church money, so you don't have no more money to be out here. Like, you got to make it work. So whatever situation you're in, whatever situation you're facing at this point in time, I would say, really focus on like cutting off all other options, right? One of the things that someone said to me, which I love, and even to this day is something that I talk about with my students. Many of you, me included, sometimes we don't make a decision. Okay, we don't know how to decide. And when we look at that, the root word for like decide, it's CIDE, right? And I think it's Italian, it means to cut off, right? And so when we think about like suicide or genocide, it's cutting off, different groups of people, right? And so when we're making a decision and we're deciding to do something, that means we're cutting off all other options. Too many of you, are trying to have a B plan, a C plan, and all of that other stuff, right? Sometimes you need to leap and let the net appear. And that's ultimately where I was. Like, I didn't have any more options. Even if I wanted more options, there were no more options available to me. So it was a gift and a curse. But when I look back, hindsight being 2020, it was certainly a blessing because that made me the woman that I am now, that allows me to go into this fearlessly launching. I have no trepidation over launching any product, launching any store, running any type of ad, simply because of that action that I took once all my money was gone. You know, like real talk. That's exactly what it boils down to. So, you know, you guys have such a wonderful opportunity, and there's real value in community. Like that's the other part that I wanted to echo what Ishmael was saying, because if you're trying to do this alone, you get stuck in your head, right? You get stuck in your head, and you know, you're doubting yourself, and you run into obstacles, and then you know, you got to refer back to, okay, let me go back to the course, and what does it say? If you're in a mastermind, like what he has created, you got people you can tap into. You got people, hey, I'm getting stuck, you know, here. I'll jump on a Zoom call with you and let me walk you through it.
Right.
You know, when you're not in a mastermind and you reach out to someone to consult with you, they want thousands of dollars. Trust me, I know. That's why I had to learn it on my own, because at the time I didn't have it, you know, but people want money for their time. And so what I'm saying to you, like, you can't, for the money that you've made, the investments that you've made into this, it's minuscule in comparison to the return that you're going to generate.
Right. And I think the skill set you learn is also very, very important. You know, just this type of conversation, Facebook ads, you know, it really sets the right way, I guess, the right information so your brains to start digging in, right? Because there are a lot of people that are better at Facebook ads than others because of the amount of time they've spent trying to reverse engineer it, right? So it's like anything else. The more you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it, right? But it's really a skill set. If you learn how to do Facebook ads successfully, you can literally start an agency. You can literally start charging local businesses to run ads for them. A lot of people make good money running ads for people. So it's a very, 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 very valuable skill set in today's economy, right? So that being said, you know, I really don't want to hold too much of you guys' time this evening. This has been very, very informative. If any of you wants to sign up for the program, hit me up before it gets too late, because we're like, what, in our 5th week now? So you have a lot of catching up to do, but it's, you know, this is really when we start diving in. We want to turn the stores live now. If you guys can just do me a favor, get your domains on GoDaddy or any of those platforms. If you want to get a Dutch store, it will save you $29 a year, because we have a partnership with the company that owns Dutch Store, and I'll give you a coupon that will save you $29. So that's a cool thing, yay! But other than that, get a domain that matches with the store that you like from the concept stores we sent you. For those of you in the program, let's get the stores live. I'll start working on the logos with my team. And the goal is to try to turn the stores on live this week. Today's Wednesday. I've been talking to most of you, a lot of you guys also. If I haven't reached out or we haven't connected, let's initiate that conversation, because I really want to get the stores live. I can't emphasize that enough. And if your concerns are, oh, how do I fund this Facebook ads? Let's talk. I have some companies that, you know, if you have good credit, we can get funding from. At very reasonable rates, and you can apply for that route. But like Audrey said, you start out small, you test it, and when you find that winning product, finding the money would not be difficult at that point, because you would know that for every $1 I put into this, I'm getting $5. I'm getting $4. So you would not hesitate to sign up for a credit card when you know that $10,000 credit limit they're giving you is going to turn to $40,000. minus the cost of goods sold. So thank you guys. I really appreciate your time tonight. And hopefully, Audrey, you'll be available next week to help us close out this Facebook ad session. And TJ, do you have anything you want to say to the people?
No, I think it's a great presentation straight across the board. Audrey, I think you did a great job on that right there. And I think only 2 cents I would throw in there is that, everything, in my opinion, humblest of opinions, it hinges on the product and the marketing, once again, the communication with the customer. So, you got a good winning product and you're able to have a conversation with the customer and show us benefits and win-win-win. Handshake.
Sure. All right. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Take care. God bless.
All right.
See you.
All right.